folks. How's it going? Here we are from StreetSmart. I've got Nate Streeter here, and I'm Steve Lundgren.
Hello.
This is sort of a second segment about branding. We did a previous one, which you may have heard or need to look up. That's about visual branding or branding ROI. You know, where's the payoff? I think was the name of it. This one has more to do with user experience. So the question is, are you breaking your brand promise?
Exactly.
Is kind of the question here, and we're gonna the subheading is fulfilling your brand promise through consistent user experience, or what we're calling UX.
Yep.
So what are our key points on this?
It is painful mistakes, repeat business and referrals, and resellers' brand promise.
Interesting.
And, you know, I think a lot, again, this is the kind of details, you entrepreneurs, you hate this kind of stuff. It's not sexy, it's not fun, but we're going to talk about it because it's important.
That's
not
right.
because it's fun and exciting.
This is an eat your broccoli kind of a presentation.
Yeah, it is. But, you know, the thing is, I can't tell you how many businesses that I've seen where the lack of consistency with their product. So last time, like you said, we talked a little bit about consistency of your image,
visual branding,
but also you need consistency of your product and or your service. And that lack of that hurts their business so much. They just don't even realize how much it's hurting them.
Yeah, this is super important.
It's one of those kind of momentum type things where it's hard to put a finger right on it specifically and say this X is exactly what's hurting your business. But it's one of those things where cumulatively it has just a tremendous effect.
All this stuff adds up.
Exactly. And so, of course, we'll get into some more details, though. So let's get into it.
Okay, first point here is about painful mistakes. So what does that mean? Subhead says how to win the online reviews game. So this has to do with the painful mistake of getting bad reviews, and we really want to talk about people being aware of that, and also kind of what you can do about it, and specifically about online reviews.
Yeah, I think, you know, your goal should be brand consistency and consistent user experience, right? So we all know there are people that are completely ridiculous out there. They have ridiculous expectations.
Customers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just nuts. And those people will leave you negative reviews sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, so every client I work with to help them build their online reviews have those people show up. There's nothing you can do about it. You didn't do anything wrong.
So you can't prevent them from leaving a bad review.
Right, exactly. So these aren't the people we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And you need to have a system where you're monitoring this, you know, some kind of a customer feedback loop. Hopefully you guys are all setting up. We'll talk about that at some point here. But the truth of the matter is you need to know when it is that you're breaking, you know, your brand promise. And you need to watch for the signs of that. And those online reviews can be huge for that.
Right.
Because often they're a window into what's happening and why. So whether you're a restaurant, you know, it can be easy. You know, if you have some people that are like, this is great, and other people are like, I had to wait too long. Yeah. That you're not putting together a consistent user experience. That's probably not someone who's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If they said I had to wait an hour, well, that's not ridiculous. No one likes to wait an hour for a table.
Well, the tendency is to look at the bad review as the problem, but the bad review may actually be a blessing in disguise.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Because it's telling you that, on the weekends here, we've got a staffing problem because people are going to are waiting extra, and I need to fix that.
Right. And you need to run to reviews like they are the best thing that happened since sliced cheese. I mean, bread or whatever they call it. Both. So because... you know, if you don't have that customer feedback loop, you don't know what's happening, oh my goodness, you're losing out. Yeah. You know, the smartest entrepreneurs I work with, they love bad stuff. You know, like they want to know everything. Right. The good, the bad, the everything. Don't put your head in the sand. You know, you run towards it. And because it will help you get this consistent user experience, which is what your goal is. Right. And so, you know, go after those and again, often you guys are like, well, I don't have any negative reviews, but you don't have any positive reviews either. Well, this doesn't mean anything. This just means you don't have a good customer feedback loop.
Because nobody wants to talk about you.
Yeah, this doesn't mean you have a consistent user experience. This just means you don't know what's happening.
Nobody wants. Yeah, nobody cares.
Right, and I'm not necessarily, everything doesn't have to be online reviews. I get that. It's just that we're in that world now. So, I know some of you guys show up and you've got a stack of reviews that you put on my desk or whatever. That's fine. Although that's not shareable. I'm not very excited about that from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, you're trying to get a testimonial and people don't know what to say.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
But it can help you with the user experience. And, you're not going to probably get, if you're right in front of somebody, you're not going to get a realistic. They're going to say nice things.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's why I don't like written things and stuff, is because, but anyway, this is more about user experience, and you just make sure you're using these kind of tools to help you.
Yeah. Now I've seen some people deal with some of these online review issues where somebody will come on and they'll say something, and the company will come back and they can give a response, and they're able to kind of show that they're Johnny on the spot and want to fix the problem, and they're apologetic and they're sorry that happened to this person and that they're working on it. So that there's another angle there, because the same people that are reading the reviews are also reading the response to them.
Right. Oh, I love that. And, again, how does that affect your user experience? Well, you want to have a consistent response. If people are having the same exact kind of problem, show them how you're going to solve it.
Yeah.
Say, gosh, that was terrible. We're working to solve that problem. Tell them how. Don't just say we're working, because that's an empty promise.
Right.
So, there's no problem. The worst thing you can do is argue or
defend yourself.
Yeah, because then all you do is you create people that they sort of build up this idea that it's us versus them. And, they're going to try to gather other soldiers around them. And then you get these crazy sites like SharmanSucks.com, or, I don't know if you guys have seen any of these, where then they get so caught up in it that they'll even build a website to get other people who don't like you.
They will bring you down.
Oh, and these people, trolls, I call them, they have plenty of time. They might have more time than the guys that you pay.
Right, to make you look good.
Yeah, to make you look good. They have more time to make you look bad. So, again, gosh, the worst thing you can do, now that we're in this transparent online world,
can't hide.
And what does that mean? To create a consistent user experience, it means sometimes you give away something that you shouldn't. It's not always fair. There's a few people that are going to take advantage of your goodwill. It doesn't matter. You can only affect your response. So,
right.
But in order to create that consistent user experience, you're willing to do all those things.
So these problems are really opportunities in disguise.
Absolutely.
Kind of the way you roll with the punches on this just says oodles about you.
Oh, and our little flyer delivery business that we own here. When I say we, I know you're not an owner, Steve, but I'm just saying.
Oh, I feel like I'm part of it.
But the thing is that we have some of our biggest screw ups over the years have turned into our biggest customers.
Yep, seen that. Yep.
But that's because we have that user experience where people know that if we screw something up, we are absolutely going to take care of them. Yep. We will bend over backwards. That's part of what we've done.
We're apologetic. We're Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, we don't make excuses. We don't, so they know they can count on us. So
there you go.
And you kind of mentioned that with Burger King. Doesn't matter where you go, you get the same Whopper.
Yeah, no, that's a really great example. Let's talk about that. Years before I'd ever heard the term user experience, I made the observation that, I could drive up to Duluth, Two Harbors, whatever, and go to the Burger King, and the same exact sandwich that I'm getting there is like what I'd get down in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
And my comment was like, wow, this is so great. I mean, somebody obviously had to plan that to make sure that happened. Just think of what was necessary to make that happen. And that was just part of the whole franchise fast food thing, was that consistent user experience. And really that principle needs to be applied to every business.
Oh, absolutely. Because if let's say there's a little stutter in whatever happened, you're a home service business and different crews are showing up every day and people aren't comfortable because of that. Or, how does that affect you? It may not. You may say, well, that doesn't affect. At the end of the day, they still got great siding on the side of their house. Well, except for the fact that Mary Lou, kind of going into this next one here.
Yeah, let's look at the next point.
May not give you a referral because she sort of was a little uneasy with the fact that you had different people here every time. Right. Or the fact that the guy who sold her the siding, she never heard or saw from him again. Mm-hmm. So See, this is all part of a consistent user experience. If
Yeah.
the guy who sold the siding was never seen again, that does not create consistent user experience.
Right.
So, and I know a lot of you guys run your businesses that way, but I want you to think through that.
Yeah, you may be able to survive that, but if a person is seeing 5 different people on the project, and persons 2 and 4 are saying something different than persons 1 and 3,
Right.
then all of a sudden they're starting to feel uneasy
Right.
because person 1 promised this, but person 2 said no, we don't do that. Person 3 said, oh, we're going to do that. Person 3 says no, we don't do that anymore.
Right, exactly.
Then you're starting to build a problem with the user experience.
I'd say that you need to be so, I have no problem with if the guy who sold it never shows up again, but what I want you to work hard on is create that consistent user experience. Everybody on your team knows exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
They know exactly what's been promised, and they're looking to over-deliver and under-promise.
And perhaps as a project manager, which becomes the touch when you have the project with the customer, and they're always there for questions.
Right.
Any kind of issues, call them. You've got
Right.
one point of contact.
Right. Yeah, so I love that. And when you guys all come to me and you say, Nate, I don't get good referrals, I'm not getting good repeat, that often is a sign that you might not have good consistent, a good consistent brand user experience. So, that's one thing I'm going to look at when I see a lack of referrals or a lack of a strong repeat is, that's something. So, when we look at those things, this is a huge thing. I think you and we work with a lot of hair salons, particularly a lot of the franchise ones in the Twin Cities. So I almost bite my tongue to say this, but this is a personal experience. Doesn't represent the whole Twin Cities market, nor all the other males in the Twin Cities. It's just Nate Streeter. But, for me, I have had a great experience at Sport Clips. And just as a little side note, they are an advertiser of ours. But it's not like I get any kickbacks. I pay full price and everything. But every time I go there, and I've been to 3 or 4 different locations, I get the exact same haircut.
Wow, great.
They don't, and I don't know how they do that, but they just look up on their computer and they say, oh, Nate, you want to get the same thing? And then they give me the same thing every time. It's been great. But I'll be honest with you, I've been to lots of other haircutting places, and it seems like I get a different haircut each time. So, but I appreciate that. I don't care if it's $25 or $33 or $17. I'm not really a value-oriented person that way. But the consistency is really valuable to me. I really like that.
I was just thinking of a funny thing my grandpa used to say. He used to say that the only difference between a good haircut and a bad haircut's 2 weeks.
Well, that's right. And ironically,
but that's not true
yeah.
anymore. Haircuts are a lot more important. I mean, you can't. I mean, you need to look good all the time.
Yeah, no, I don't.
There's a day when they used to put a bowl on your head and give you a haircut, and it didn't even matter. And what my grandpa said really reflected that time frame.
Right.
But now, I mean, a person needs to be able to count on that, and if you know that there's a haircutting place and you can go anywhere in the cities and you're going to get consistent user experience, well, that's very valuable.
Right. Well, I can't remember what the business book is, but he talked about a hair place. This was like an old-time barber that he went into. Do you remember that book, Steve? And then he said one time he went in and the guy gave him a shot of whiskey and, newspaper.
Was that Raving Fan?
Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah. And then the next time he came in, the guy just gave him a newspaper, but no whiskey.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was wine. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But then he just said, it was the inconsistency drove him crazy. He didn't know what he was going to get each time.
Right.
And here, let me just go into this. And let me go back to Sport Clips.
Okay.
I could care less about the sports on the TV. I like sports a little bit, but I don't care about that.
Right.
I don't really care that much that they wash my hair or give me a massage. Those are nice little things. But the truth is, I mostly like the fact that I get the same exact thing every time I go there. Well, the only reason I'm bringing that up is, why do we care about all the little details of your user experience being consistent? Well, part of it is you might not know exactly what's important to your client of all the things you do.
Right.
Maybe it's the whiskey part, when I'm going back to that. Or maybe it's the newspaper. I don't, you may not know, but if you're not consistent, you may lose that client from one week to the next.
Right.
And so, and again, so anyway.
You might not notice, but they will.
Right. And so those are all factors that go into it. Or I think, for me, Leah and I, we both like Sprouts. I know this is getting kind of personal here.
Alfalfa or bean?
I don't know, but they used to put them on Jimmy John's sandwiches, and they don't anymore.
Alfalfa, yeah.
And that was one thing we don't like about Jimmy John's now. I still like Jimmy John's okay.
Oh, you missed the Sprouts, huh?
Yeah, so see, but it's about brand consistency that way. It's such a small detail, but we'd go there once every couple months. Now we might only go there a couple times a year. You know,
you look forward to the Sprouts, and now you're
Yeah.
trying to find somewhere else that's got Sprouts.
Yeah. So
That's funny.
And then sometimes your clients might not even be able to put their finger on exactly what that is.
Yeah.
You know, so I was able to say those things, but a lot of times, because user experience is such a sort of mysterious thing, they might not even realize why. The vibe was a little different. You weren't as happy. What, I don't know. There's a million different things. So,
Right.
but going back to the slide that we're actually on, particularly if you're a business to consumer and you're in the home service business, which is a lot of the people we work with,
Right.
this often comes up in referrals and repeat. This is where, because of your inconsistency, you're not getting as much. If you worked on this, you'd get a lot more.
So what's the best advice we could give somebody on this point?
Work on it a little bit every week. It's that old Kaizen, 1% better a week, and pretty soon you're 50% better by the end of the year. So
you need to have a way to measure it too.
Right. You need to have a way to measure it and be very purposeful about continuing to improve it. So it doesn't mean, it means very clear expectations with all of your employees, all of your contractors, everybody that touches and provides your product experience to your client needs to be on the same page.
So everybody needs to be aware of user experience.
Right. Exactly. So
Cool.
let's get into B2B. I know most of you aren't B2B, but
Reseller's brand promise. What the
Gosh.
heck are we talking about here?
well, if you're a reseller, so you sell to other businesses, and maybe it's not reseller necessarily. It could just be, going back. We pick on painters a lot here too. It seems like going back to painters. Let's say you do commercial painting.
Yeah.
Well, that's another business then. Consistency matters so much for them.
So, for instance, a reseller might be a remodeling company that hires a painter.
That could be
and
too,
plumbers
right.
And various other people.
Right.
And so, in a sense, that there's a brand promise there that someone who's a painter that works for the remodeling company has to maintain or be aware of.
Right, because you're representing their brand.
You're right.
And so, this is where your consistency, again, if you're not seeing huge repeat numbers and stuff, it's probably because your product, see, they're definitely almost always willing to pay a bit more. If the consistency is huge to them.
Yep.
I mean, Steve, like I don't here at Paperboy, our little flyer delivery company we own, I don't pick the cheapest printers.
That's a good example.
No, I never do. Like I pick the ones that I know consistently are going to perform for me.
Right.
And because that is so important to my business. I can't be waiting extra days or have certain jobs that didn't get printed correctly. Like I don't have any patience for that.
Oh, right.
So I'll pay a little bit more all year round to get the consistency.
Yeah. Perfect
And
example.
the truth of the matter is, okay, let's say you do have some people that all they care about is price. Well, you probably don't want them as clients anyway. So, I would work on your brand consistency and your user experience consistency. And then, again, this is something, if you're seeing your B2B, if they're not consistent, that probably is a big reason why, is you don't have a consistent user experience.
So that's a great way to get and keep those sort of business relationships.
Right, exactly. So, and because you're representing their brand or product, it's almost like you double up on the importance of this.
Right. You need to be extra vigilant.
Right.
Exactly. Well, let's wrap this up. So what's next? How can you help us? You leave a Google review or a comment below about what you thought about this this video. You can share this video with someone if you thought of someone when you were hearing this that you thought maybe should hear about this. Go ahead and send them a link. Share this with them. If you'd like to suggest a video topic, we'd love to hear about that. We want to talk about things that you want to hear about.
Yep.
Not just stuff we want to talk about.
Right.
And let's see. How can we help you? Why don't you talk about that, Nate?
Well, I mean, if you need help, I mentioned kind of Kaizen. That's a strategy that we implement with most of our clients here at StreetSmart.
Like an incremental.
Exactly. Yeah. I think most of you, all of this is just so overwhelming. When you start talking about improving your user experience, holy smoly, that touches every part of your business.
Yeah.
And like I said, you really need to have a good plan to really just improve a little bit every week. And then you look back a year later and holy smoly, look at how consistent we are compared to a year ago.
So we can help people with that.
Yeah, absolutely we can. And, if you need help with that, if you even just want to kind of get a free evaluation and kind of see like what is it that we could even do, we're always willing to show you what we can do to help you before you pay us anything.
Right.
And so we'd love to take a look and see if there are different ways that we can improve this. But man, this is one of those kind of things that, you know, when you look at it and say, gosh, we did 800,000 last year, but now we're doing a 1.5 million this year. How did it happen? This is definitely something you can point back at and say, wow, you know, we're so much more consistent with our product and our user experience.
Yeah.
So we'd love to hear from you. Contact us. You know, you can hit us on any of those ways, email, Twitter, Facebook, you know, we're everywhere. So
Yeah.
just contact us and we'll talk soon.
Great. Stay well.